Welcome, new Rotarians. Good evening. My name is Jean Withers. I've been a proud Rotarian since 1991, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the family of Rotary. Like you, I'm a member of a local Rotary club. My club is Lake Union Rotary, and I'm pleased to co-host this webinar for you with our District Governor, Bill McElroy. Bill also is a local club member. Our most northernmost club, Mill Creek, is Bill's home club. I'm happy to tell you that there are a bunch of us on this call, and to ensure that our time together is spent as effectively as possible, and that we are able to do everything we promised in this hour. Bill has done a couple of things. One is he's recording this session. We'll post it on YouTube and share the link with you, so you might watch it again if you missed something, or you might tell others in your club who might want to watch. Secondly, Bill has put you into a listen-only mode to make sure we move through everything. And you can help us all, if you will, please, by doing two things yourself. Forgive me while I pay homage to our family's favorite feel-good holiday movie and ask you to avoid feedback by clicking on that mute button down there. You move your cursor around, you'll see it. All right. And secondly, it's likely you'll have questions. And please just enter your questions on chat. One of Bill's favorite things to do is answer Rotarians' questions. So just drop him a line as we're going along and as you think of things. And toward the end of this, you'll have some time to talk with our governor. When you joined your Rotary Club, you were undoubtedly told that Rotary has a long, proud history. And likely you were told that the history of Rotary is built on all of us together making the world and our communities better. It's true. Rotary is the oldest and the largest volunteer service organization in the world. Want to know how old and how proud? Well, let's take a look at the first 50 years of Rotary. Bill, would you please?
The first 50 years of Rotary was actually longer than that. Let's give credit to Rotary's founder, Paul Harris. He was an attorney establishing his practice in Chicago in 1900, a man like a man with a wife and a life. And while he was inspired to find a way where men and different professions could meet, get to know each other, do business together, it took a while for him to make that actually happen. But ultimately, it did. Paul invited 3 friends from diverse professions to meet in an office in Chicago. So this date, February 23rd, 1905, was become very important to Rotarians around the world. Even though the purpose was ultimately to do business with one another, as other men joined and came to know each other, they also began to see the needs of the community around them. So 2 years later, they funded what we refer to now as Public Comfort Station near Chicago City Hall. Think of it as Rotary's first community service project. The idea of Rotary, an inspired leadership and determination, resulted in 4 more clubs being formed, all on the West Coast. 3 were on the West Coast, and the 4th club was in Seattle. So with the organization barely 5 years old and now at 16 clubs, these Rotarians could come together at the first Rotary Convention in Chicago. Rotary's course serving others was firmly set here in 5 objectives. Each of those objectives hailed the importance of service to one's own life, to other people individually, to society as a whole. And the idea continued to grow internationally, sparking clubs that were formed in Canada and Great Britain. Our own Seattle 4 Rotary captured the dual features of serving and doing business together. Seattle 4 proposed a platform, he profits most who serves best. We know it today as service above self. And to clearly demonstrate the concept of cooperation, fellowship, working together, and especially serving others, the geared wheel was adopted. Though Rotary was not yet 10 years old, clubs were forming rapidly. Phoenix 100 was formed in 1914, and the wives of Rotarians became involved as well. They were called Rotarians. And Rotary was skipping the boundaries of language as well, as the Havana Club was formed in 1916. But war in Europe turned those Rotarians' attention to a different kind of service, relieving the desperate struggles of refugees escaping invading armies, housing them, feeding them. And despite the devastation of war, Rotary looked forward for new ways to serve. Our endowment fund was proposed near the end of the Great War. President Arch Crump suggested it. It would become the Rotary Foundation. The honor of the first contribution will always be held by a Kansas City, Missouri Rotary Club. It was $26.50. Still, the idea of Rotary, the concept of serving, working together, while engaging in friendships and fellowships, kept spreading across the globe. Manila Rotary, a club that proved instrumental in Rotary's future, was the first Asian club formed. And Rotary grew, powerfully led by Paul Harris, a remarkable executive secretary and a team abroad in 6 years. Rotary International formed 500 clubs on 4 continents. Amid the explosion club expansion, one creative Rotarian produced a test, a way to model individual behavior in business, life, community life, family life. Everywhere it became known as the 4-way test. To this day, it is recited often and frequently memorized. And Arch Crump Endowment, officially named the Rotary Foundation in 1928, began its remarkable history of donations to help others. The first $500 to the International Society of Crippled Children. Despite the specter of another war, Rotary grew. Club 5000 was formed in Georgia, and when the world went to war again, Rotarians served at the front, in government, helping millions fleeing disaster or devastated by it. The message of Rotary, service above self, was so powerful that as the war ended, Rotarians from around the world were asked to help draft a charter of the international organization designed to help such global devastation from happening again, the United Nations. Amidst the post-war recovery, Rotarians were struck by the death of Paul Harris. To acknowledge his lifetime of building Rotary, they spontaneously began contributing to the Rotary Foundation. Ultimately, $1.3 million were contributed, a memorial fund was created in his honor, and the first Rotarian Foundation scholarships were granted. And that dream Paul Harris had begun creating a half-century before, in 1955, Rotary celebrated 50 years with a well-deserved Golden Jubilee.
So, did you know that a Seattle Rotary Club inspired the Rotary motto, service above self, or that Rotarians helped draft the Charter of the United Nations? Pretty impressive. If you're really new to Rotary, one inevitable thing you'll learn is this: every Rotary Club is unique, truly. Just go to another Rotary Club's meeting and you'll see, well, first of all, you'll see that you just made 1.2 million new friends. Yeah, you'll be welcomed at any Rotary Club in the world, wherever you go. And secondly, you'll enjoy how different Rotary Clubs can be and still be dedicated to the same goal. Rotarians search for the best, often the most creative way to make our communities and our lives better, but also how to make life better for other people. So that means what we're doing is making life on this planet better for people we'll never meet. Let's take a look at a couple of great and very different Rotary Clubs. The first one is in the eastern part of what is called our district. Bill?
Hello, new Rotarians. My name is Desiree Uzawa. I'm the proud president of the Bellevue Breakfast Rotary Club for 2019-2020. We're a club of approximately 90 members, and we are super proud of our All In for Autism run, which we have every April. It's a 5K, 10K elite run in Bellevue that allows us to do our great activities in the community, such as our adoption party that we hold every fall. We welcome you to come visit us at Glendale on Fridays, and also check out our website at bbrc.org. Thank you.
You'll often hear about the areas of service in Rotary, and you may or may not have had an opportunity to see that in action. Another very different club, the Vashon Island Club, our most westerly club, will kind of give us a demonstration now about how they plan their service for the year. Mr. McElroy, if you please.
Hey everybody, this is Mike England with Vashon Rotary. I'm over here at the Sugar Shack, and this is our committee day. So I'm going around visiting some of our different committees. So here's the folks here that are international committee today, doing some great work for our international projects.
We're getting new people interested in dealing with international grants.
Awesome. So we're helping people around the world, and it all starts right here. Catherine, want to share anything?
Yeah, I've got a lot of grant writing experience, so hopefully I can bring some talents to this committee.
Right on. Thank you very much. So we're all about service around here. Here we have our programming committee. These are the folks who find all the great speakers that come in. So hard at work, they don't even know I'm standing here. All right, so the program committee. So George and Amy, the program committee, you find us some great speakers.
Yes.
And you? All right.
All right.
All right, you got some great speakers lined up for us?
We do.
Right on. Looking forward to it. I know George is back there. He's always helping us out in every way possible.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Here we go now. Bill and Dick. Hey. All right. These gentlemen over here, they're working hard with both helping us with the Rotary Foundation, where we do so much great work, and the membership committee. So they're helping us get new members. I know Dick's the one who brought me in. So good job, Dick. All right. Here we got our other committee members over here, hard at work. All right, gentlemen. So we got the Community Service Committee. This is where we come up with all the great ideas and come up with plans for all the work we do in the community. So our Community Service Chair over here. Got anything you want to share?
Yeah, so we are coming up with contact plans for the different entities on Vashon to request their ideas so that we can come up with ways so that we can help them and come up with other community projects.
Right on. Thanks, James. So you get that. We're going to be reaching out to the community so that all our fundraising work can go to great projects. Thank you, guys. All right. Now you know who's doing all the work around here, right? And Zane is my partner here in all of our PR work. So we're going to be doing hard work to share all the works of Rotary with everybody out there.
We are trying to let the community know what we are doing in the Rotary Club, including all the services that we are giving to our community and including all the projects. So soon follow us, and soon you will know what project we are working on it, and bringing speakers from the community to talk about different things. So keep following up on our page and social media, guys.
Right on. You hear that, guys? So keep following us. And this week we're at the Sugar Shack. Come see us any week. Next week we're going to be at Povos Brewery Company. So you know where to find us every Thursday.
So as you can see, some Rotary clubs are more formal, some are quite informal, some are large, some are small. One of those clubs was 90, one of those clubs was 35 members. People come in all sizes. They work on a range of projects and priorities. Their members come from all over the country, and these days, as you saw, from all over the world. And they are both women and men. In the tumultuous second half of the 20th century, Rotary, like our society, went through huge changes. Let's take a look at our second 50 years. Bill.
In the second 50 years of Rotary, the second half of the 20th century was a remarkable period, changed forever by World War II. It saw significant leaps and giant movements seeking human rights, and still more wrenching discord. Amidst it all, Rotary grew, changed, and flourished. Following a global war no one wanted to see again, Rotarians increasingly donated to the Rotary Foundation, and honoring founder Paul Harris even further, the foundation recognized $1,000 contribution as Paul Harris Fellows. Rotary also began bringing young people into the fold. In Florida, Interact clubs foster leadership and good citizenship. In North Carolina, university students of both sexes joined Rotaract clubs and saw this movement go international fast. The Rotary Foundation, now well established, launched its Matching Grants program, the first regular program to fund projects originating from clubs and districts serving them. And the Group Steady Exchange program began yet another way to encourage professionals of different countries to travel and connect from others abroad. Among individual clubs, changes were occurring rapidly. In Tecate, California, Rotarians admitted women as members. Though it violated the Constitution of Rotary International, later their club charter was pulled by RI, and Tecate's Rotarians filed suit. They won, and for a time women could be Rotarians, but only in California. Meanwhile, the foundation was working hard to meet the needs Rotarians saw around the world through 3H grants. Grants made it to create better health, decrease hunger, and serve human needs. And the first 3H grant, it was made to immunize 6 million Filipino children against polio, a project of Manila Rotary, the first Asian Rotary Club. The foundation trustees created an endowment, essentially an insurance policy that would sustain Rotary's good work in the future. The good work of the foundation and Rotarians worldwide contrasted with continuing pressure from outside, particularly at the same time Rotary International was preparing to announce the Polio Plus campaign to immunize all children of the world against polio. Individual Rotary clubs were clamoring to bring women into Rotary, and some of the most effective clamor came from Seattle, from a small club just being formed in Seattle's International District. That new club presented its charter to Rotary International, removing all reference to gender. Rotary International refused the charter, so it was resubmitted as males only. Ultimately, the club inducted 15 women into Seattle International's District Rotary and filed an injunction against Rotary International. If you lift our club charter, the injunction said to Rotary International, you must defend the basis on which you do it. Rotary International chose to defend itself in the courts against the easier Dorati case. The fight moved to the courts, with Rotary International arguing that if women were allowed to join Rotary, the right of association of club members would be violated. It was an argument that had been allowed in the cases of private clubs. But in early May of 1987, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously that no service club could exclude women. Meanwhile, Rotary had continued other crucial good work. It continued the long search for innovative ways to promote peace, and Rotarians raised close to an astounding $250 million for Polio Plus. Spurred by the success, the World Health Assembly launched its own global polio eradication initiative. While Rotary's little United Nations, the Council on Legislation changed Rotary's constitution to include women. Rotary continued to expand. The Rotarians across the globe celebrated a huge success in 1994. The Western Hemisphere was declared polio-free. The next stage in Rotary's long search to find vehicles that promote peace became almost as the century turned. Centers for International Studies in Peace and Conflict were established, and after the century turn came astonishing news. Europe was officially declared polio-free. Polio cases had dropped 99% in less than 15 years. To encourage all Rotarians to donate to the Rotary Foundation every year, E-Ray was launched. It's an initiative entitled Every Rotarian Every Year, E-Ray. The Centennial Convention in 2005 was quite a celebration.
So are you ready for the quiz, or is it just too close to dinner? I hope you noticed that our great Rotary Foundation really came into its own in the second half century. And did you see which country the fight against polio was initiated? It was in the Philippines. That was originally a local project, and it has now become an enormously important project where basically Rotary persuaded the world that we could end polio, and we will. And finally, did you see that a small Seattle Rotary Club played a major role in getting women into Rotary? Speaking of remarkable Rotarians who happen to be women, here's one, a very new one, like you, to tell her Rotary story. Listen to her recent, really great Rotary adventure. Bill, Caitlin Grant.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Grant, and I've been a member of Seattle 4 Rotary for the last 5 months. I went to my first Rotary happy hour back in January 2019, and I just fell in love with the Rotary community. I was so inspired by the people I met and the passion they had for changing their communities, be it the local community, the national community, or the international community. So I joined in June, and immediately after joining Rotary, I was actually asked to work with Seattle 4's president, Kim Moore, in a more administrative role, and so I became the presidential liaison and have been working with the board of directors to help push through different initiatives that the board has been working on, stay organized, schedule meetings, etc. And so that's been incredibly insightful to see how Rotary works right off the bat and see how things get done. So one of the big projects I've taken on is helping to organize monthly table talks. Once a month at a luncheon, Seattle 4 will have a discussion on a relevant topic, be it what to spend our annual service grant on, or how the club can better promote social justice in Seattle. And so each table, someone is assigned to facilitate the conversation and take notes. And so I collect those notes and organize them and present them to the board so that we can discuss better ways to promote those ideas that people come up with. Another great opportunity I had this year was to participate in the first ever Young Professional Exchange Program. I actually went with 3 other Rotarians from the Seattle community to Osaka for a week, and we stayed with Japanese Rotarian host families, and that was an absolutely incredible experience. It really speaks to how strong the international Rotarian community is, that these families would take us in. It was so special to be able to work with Rotarians across the world and develop these relationships that I hope I'll have for the rest of my life. And so while in Osaka, we had the opportunity to visit several different companies that were run by Rotarians. We also participated in a variety of cultural activities. So we got to do a tea ceremony. We went to a textile factory and were dressed in kimonos one day. And we spent a lot of time with the young Rotarian professionals as well. So we attended a Rotaract meeting in addition to the Osaka Rotarian meeting while we were there. So the last 5 months have been quite a whirlwind for me, but it's been amazing to not only learn about how Rotary works internally, but also experience Rotary from an international perspective already, and build those relationships with Rotarians across the world.
I'm so glad you got to hear from Caitlin. Rotary's own story in the 21st century focused on meeting some new and very different challenges than the previous century. Take a look at Rotary in the 21st century.
Rotary in this century is facing new adventures and different challenges than ever before. The century began with remarkable 30,000 clubs chartered, an expansion into China, an important area of the world Rotary had long wished to influence. Barely half a decade in the new century, polio remained in only 4 countries. In partnership with the Gates Foundation, Rotary was set to raise $100 million to help eradicate polio. Rotarians proved themselves remarkable partners. We beat the fundraising deadline, and almost immediately after that, the Rotary Foundation celebrated 100 Paul Harris Fellows. Rotarians had a second chance in 2008 and 2009 to match a bigger and more generous Gates Foundation challenge, and again beat the clock. Partnerships with other international powerhouse service organizations enhance desperately needed work to provide clean water, better sanitation and hygiene, and improve infrastructure throughout the world. Meanwhile, the Council of Legislation approved a new Fifth Avenue of Service, New Generations. Creating new Rotary leaders among young adults was the obvious goal. When the Rotary Foundation announced a new simplified model of making grants, Rotarians responded eagerly. And when India and all of Southeast Asia were declared polio-free, we all cheered. That meant that by 2015, polio cases around the world were down 99.9%. In only 3 countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria, were children still suffering from these crippling disease. Then, as the Rotary Foundation celebrated 100 years, came the news. The Rotary Foundation had been selected the most outstanding foundation in the world. Still, in clubs throughout the world, Rotarians lobbied for changes that would enhance flexibility in meetings and membership and attendance, and even in what you call a Rotary Club. Faced with significant workplace challenges, members of the Council of Legislation embraced many of these dramatic changes. More recently, the Council of Legislation has elevated the status of Rotaract clubs Today, Rotaractors are Rotarians. The best news of the 2019 summer came in August, when Nigeria was named polio-free. By 2020, all of Africa will be past the scourge of this crippling disease. What a way to start a new decade.
So did you see that? Your Rotary Foundation, my Rotary Foundation, our Rotary Foundation was named the most outstanding foundation in the world 3 years ago. A real point of pride, well justified. But a more subtle point in that last video is this. Rotary International is investing time and money and energy in assuring that structurally Rotary clubs can meet the challenge of the future so that we can keep doing the good work we want to even after we're not here. Talk about paying it forward. To help make sure that Rotary is here, not just surviving, but thriving, takes a little organization, but not too much. We all have that at work. The organization of Rotary goes like this. Unlike most organizations where there is a chief executive at the top, and then vice presidents and managers and supervisors, and finally workers down here, Rotary structure is the opposite. It works like this. Clubs, 36,038 of them in more than 200 countries, are at the top of the hierarchy. And below them are what's called districts, and then zones, and then Rotary International. There are about 500 or so districts around the world, and districts are established by number of Rotarians in a particular geographic area. It's rather important to know about districts because you'll hear about them in Rotary quite a bit. Bill, would you tell us more about the districts through our next video?
Sure.
In the world of Rotary, districts support Rotary clubs. The 539 districts around the world are typically organized geographically around clubs whose memberships total around 3,000. That, of course, includes our distinctive and distinguished district, which is known as District 5030. Rotary succeeds only if clubs thrive. Clubs thrive best if they are well led. So districts ensure that club leaders, volunteers who typically serve only a year, are trained to perform their duties with knowledge and ease. Districts create events like conferences where Rotarians enjoy hearing how other clubs succeed at innovative projects in their communities and how they can join together on major grants here and abroad. In our district, Rotarians are given vehicles that encourage them to do business together because, as we know, Rotarians do business together all the time. Usually our district is thought of as including clubs in King County. Remember, though, there is an important portion of 5030 to the south. It dips into Pierce County. And there's another part of 5030 to the north, up into Snohomish County. Overall, that's more than 2,200 square miles. Each year, an outstanding Rotarian serves as our district governor. This volunteer, the single officer of Rotary International in our district, is extensively trained for 3 years to help Rotary clubs thrive. During his or her year, the governor is on call to guide and encourage leaders throughout the district. Our governor is the very definition of a servant leader. Our district has served Rotary with distinction over the last 100 plus years. When districts were created, 503 as it was known then, was one of the largest in all of Rotary, and included not just King County and a bit of Snohomish and Pierce County, but Alaska and the whole Yukon Territory. 5030 began the concept of district projects with Rotary First Harvest, an outstanding effort to feed hungry people in our district. you'll hear this nearly 40-year-old effort referred to now as Harvest Against Hunger. Rotarians in our district have also served Rotary International as first vice president, working closely with the Rotary International president, helping solve the unique challenges of a diverse organization in 200 countries. Yes, Rotary is in more nations than the United Nations. And remember the remarkable contributions several clubs in our districts have made. Simply put, they have made Rotary better, clearer, and more inclusive.
It's likely, if you've been in Rotary a few months, you and your Rotary Club have heard from Bill McElroy, our creative, hardworking district governor. As a part of the governor's job, he or she visits every club and gives some information about Rotary, a challenge often for the year, and mentions some interesting things that are coming up, fun projects you might want to participate in. In a few minutes, you'll have an opportunity to ask Bill anything. He likes to answer it.
Okay.
Recently though, Bill and I and a large group of Rotarians heard one of Bill's predecessors as governor talk about one of the most important initiatives of Rotary. And it was such a moving story that I asked that Rotarian to tell you the same story. Listen up, this is big. Bill, want to introduce Ezra Teshomi?
My name is Ezra Teshomi, and I'm past district governor for District 5030, and also a member of the University District Rotary Club. I'm passionate about Rotary, the work that we do to change lives. I'm also passionate about the eradication of polio. Polio is a disease that existed for quite some time, but thank you to all the Rotarians throughout the world who committed for the purpose of eradication and raise money and be able to go and provide the 2 drops all over where polio exists. In 1996, I was the president of my Rotary Club. At the same time, the Rotary International president, Glenn Kinross, was having a convention, peace conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And that was just an exciting moment for me to go back to the homeland where I grew up as a Rotarian and meet some of the Rotarians and find out some of the needs to be involved and support the work that they do. And the end of the convention, we were taken out to provide 2 drops to the children outside Addis Ababa. And there I met someone who was a father. He had a child of his who had lost her movement from polio for the lack of getting those 2 drops. That daughter that he has was about the same age with my daughter. And that father thought, we're there to heal his child. As I talked to him, I recognized once polio affected you, there's nothing that we could do. And I told the bad news to this father, and I made a commitment to the Rotarians that until polio is eradicated from Ethiopia, I will be back, not only myself, but I'll bring other Rotarians with me to support the work that they do to eradicate polio. Luckily, I have been going back every year with 60 to 80 Rotarians from the U.S. and Canada. With the help of all these Rotarians, I'm glad to say that we have eradicated polio from Ethiopia. And we now have only 2 countries left. Those are Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this year, from January 1st until today, we have less than 100 cases in those 2 countries. The good news also is from the 3 types of polio, type 1, type 2, type 3, 2 and 3 have been eliminated. So we only have 1 type of polio, that wild polio virus, in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And it is my goal and Rotary's and everybody's goal to completely eradicate that within the next 5 years. So Rotarians, you have made a promise to the children of the world that you will eradicate polio, and I believe that promise, that commitment is about to happen in the next few years. What does it take to eradicate? Well, definitely money is number 1, and number 2 is the personal commitment. With the money part, as you all know, the Gates Foundation will match every dollar that we give 2 to 1. So I really challenge every Rotarian to do all you can to provide the support, because even though polio is gone, we're vaccinating over 450 million children worldwide today. If we don't vaccinate, polio is a plane ride away. It's going to come back, and all the work that we have done will go down the drain and will start again. It will be more costly. So I challenge every one of you to really do all you can to give, and let's eradicate polio from the face of the earth.
And finally, you know, December is a different month for many of us. It's a very social month. You may be going to Rotary Club parties or other house parties or office functions or more formal events, and it'll be a chance to talk about your work, your business perhaps, and maybe even Rotary. As a new Rotarian, as we mentioned earlier, Rotarians often do business with other Rotarians. As a business owner and a manager of a nonprofit, I often found that events like these in December were some of the most wonderful times of the year to market successfully. So if you're one of the people who's wondered about how you can do business successfully in Rotary, first of all, let me say, yes, you can. And secondly, here's a Rotarian who has some great tips for you about how to do it so that it works best for everybody. Listen up. Bill, Virginia McKenzie.
My name is Virginia McKenzie from Seattle for Rotary, and I'd like to share with you some ideas on how to do business networking in Rotary. There are lots of business associations out there, and lots of them encourage business networking, and they're all a little bit different, and the etiquette in each club is a little bit different. And I like telling people, sharing with people how business networking is done in Rotary, because it's different than other networking groups, and I just like to save people from any unnecessary awkwardness. So here we go. I'm going to give you a list of things that are great things to do, and then maybe some things that would be okay elsewhere, but not at Rotary. The reasons that you are coming to Rotary are first and foremost service opportunities, and second, fellowship and making new friends, and then third priority is business networking. You have come to the right place. You are going to have an awesome experience here. In full disclosure, when I joined Rotary 12 years ago, it was just because my employer wanted me to join a business networking group, and I could pick anyone I wanted to, and I picked Rotary, and I started out looking for business networking. So if you came just for the business networking, we hope that you also get turned on to the service and fellowship like I did. So an easy way to get talking about your business is just kind of slip it into conversation. So when people ask me, hey, Virginia, how are you doing? I might say, oh, I met this really exciting senior staff accountant today. I can't wait calling into local businesses and seeing if they could use an outstanding person like this. How's your day going? So I'm not asking that person for business. I'm just kind of revealing that I make my living placing corporate accountants, and hope that they remember that for later. Another way is to, whatever your business is, see if you can put it in service of your Rotary Club. So, for example, I'm a recruiter, and so one of my strategies was to establish myself as a recruiter in my Rotary Club, which is actually a really easy thing to do in a membership-style organization because they're always looking for new members, and so I made it my self-appointed job to work to recruit other young professionals into my Rotary Club, which was really fun for me and a really awesome way for me to establish myself as a recruiter. So think about what you could bring to your Rotary Club that kind of positions you as the professional that you are. Other ways to get your club to remember who you are is offer to host a committee meeting in your conference room. That's a great way. You bring them through your lobby, they see your team, it helps them remember you. Even better, if you have a business that would be an interesting, exciting field trip, like you work in an exciting factory or exciting equipment or anything that would make a great field trip, show and tell. Rotarians love learning about other businesses. Offer to invite a group of Rotarians for a field trip. Ask other Rotarians what you could do to support their projects, what that you could do to help them achieve their goals and be successful in their business. Most Rotarians will be very grateful for this opening and will share with you enthusiastically what business leads look like for them, and they're very likely to return the favor, like, thank you for asking, and what kind of business leads can I help you with? If I were to list a few things not to do, number one thing, do not mass email your roster in your Rotary Club. Do not import it, the list of names, into your database. Even if you have a generous offering to give, I would discourage this. Certainly, if you get an individual's permission to add them to your contact database, that would be an okay thing to do. I am on many listservs of my friends who do business, and they are on mine, but you should kind of ask permission first. Cold calling through your Rotary roster is discouraged. Inviting Rotarians to your favorite nonprofit. So yes, this happens, and yes, you can do it. I would just say treat this as kind of a quasi-personal, professional invitation, and just be mindful that for every individual that you invite to your favorite nonprofit, they are likely to invite you to theirs. And so yes, I attend lots of fundraisers with my fellow Rotarians, and yes, I invite them to attend mine, but those invitations should be given with discretion. When it comes to pricing, you want to offer your fellow Rotarians a fair price. Just because you are fellow Rotarians, there's no expectation for a friend or family discount. Any discounts offered or received are purely voluntary. It should be a fair business exchange. all in all, I highly recommend doing business with Rotarians. It's a wonderful way to get to know each other and to deepen your relationships, deepen the trust. And frankly, that's what we're counting on when we do business with each other. I know when I'm doing business with a fellow Rotarian, my entire Rotary reputation is on the line, and that's really how I feel about it. I want to make sure that I come through for them, and if there were anything bad happened, that I would be right there to make it right. So it actually makes for a very lovely business relationship on both sides as the buyer and the seller. So I highly recommend doing business networking in your Rotary Club. It is great to do business with a Rotarian.
Thank you, Virginia. Great ideas. Because, as we said, Rotarians do business with other Rotarians. One of the terrific initiatives in our district is this. You might want to write this down. The Puget Sound Rotary Network. You find it online at www.pugetsoundrotarynetwork.org. So, Bill, as I turn this over to you, I wonder if you could tell all these folks about the Puget Sound Rotary Network and answer their questions.
Why? Because I love questions, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chief. This started about 3 years ago when Alex was the district governor. The idea, quite simply, is that Rotary was founded not as a philanthropic type organization, but it was business. And when Paul Harris was in Chicago, he was a starving attorney, and he thought of a way that he could build his business, and that was to go ahead and meet with 3 other individuals and get to know them personally and get to know their businesses. And they went from business to business to business, hence the name Rotary came from that. And from there, within a year's time, they had over 100 people that wanted to join this organization called Rotary. And within just a few years, you've heard the history. It just expanded across the whole world. What happened was in the 50s and 60s, as it expanded, a lot of the people that were involved were upper management. They were CEOs, chairman of the boards. My grandfather was a Seattle 4 Rotarian, and he was the president CEO of the Seattle Round Chain Company. My dad, however, was a salesman at Georgia Pacific. He was the office manager, and he was not allowed to become a Rotarian. And yet he did the same philanthropic work. He worked, as my grandfather helped do the Boys and Girls Club in Seattle, through the Seattle 4's Boys and Girls Club. He was part of that process. My dad was not a Rotarian and helping build the Bellevue Boys and Girls Club. And so things changed. And when the Council of Legislation loosened up the rules back in the 70s and 80s, what happened was that it allowed, it recognized the fact that we weren't this good old boys network that were made up of CEOs and presidents and things like that, that there was a world out there of people that could go ahead and do this. And so it started this process again of developing a network for business-wise. When you were a CEO and a president, you know who you were, and there was really no solicitations. You just knew who the people were. You were limited to only 2 categories or 2 classifications, and that's where the classifications, and that has been loosened up completely. We are now recognizing the fact that Rotarians love to do business with Rotarians, like to do business with other fellow Rotarians. I myself, if you've heard me speak, I have an attorney who's a Rotarian. I have another attorney who's a Rotarian. I have an insurance broker who's a Rotarian. My dentist is a Rotarian. My CPA is a Rotarian. You know, my wife's doctor is a Rotarian. Yeah, I can go down the list. Why? Because I trust the Rotarians. You've heard Virginia speak so eloquently. So what we did was a couple of years ago when Alex was the district governor, we recognized this. And it was something that we have been wanting to do in the district for several years. When John Matthews happened to be the district governor, and this was back in 2009 after the recession, where we wanted to promote and help each other's businesses. And hence we developed this business networking, the Puget Sound Business Network. It doesn't cost any money whatsoever. You put your name in there, your business name. If you don't want to be contacted, you can go somehow have somebody at the front desk or whatever in your office can go ahead and kind of screen the messages out, and they can, I'm a Rotarian, I need some help. And I think this is very, very important for the future of working the network. I've also been in contact with District 5020, which is in Tacoma, and that scoots around of all Puget Sound, and they're interested in joining the network too. It's very unique opportunity that you can work with Rotarians. I'll give you an example. My daughter got a divorce, and it was out of state, and I was able to reach down into a different district to a club and find a Rotarian who was an attorney that could go ahead and work, and I trusted this person, and it was probably the best thing that I could have done to help my daughter out, is to find somebody locally to go ahead and take care of this. And so that's the basis of the Puget Sound Business Network. It allows you to put your business on at no charge. It's something that we're expanding at the conference. The district conference is coming up. You're going to see what's called the Connect Room. Businesses are allowed to go ahead and put their tables in there for a small nominal fee. It's probably the cheapest advertising you could do, is to go ahead and meet 2,500 Rotarians that you have, a couple thousand of people that you can quickly just tell the fact that I'm a Rotarian, this is what I do. It's called the Connect Room. Our theme this year in Rotary is which is from Mark Maloney's theme that he picked, was Rotary Connects the World, and one of them happens to be business. And I thank you. If you have any questions, feel free. The chat box is open. I know that Jean, you're here, and I don't know if she's going to come back online again. But with that being said, here she is, Jean.
Hi.
Yeah, so that's you get a little bit of the background and what we're here for, and the importance of having the connections that goes on. I mean, it's the working relationships that I have that's helping. The other thing it is, and I haven't pointed this out, but Rotarians help each other grow their businesses. I mean, I started in '85, and I have a couple companies, and I'm able to go ahead and talk to people that are in the same situation or experts in different things, and it's helped me develop my business at the exact same time. So you have some counseling, and the counseling coming from friends. So that's another thing that is really a benefit from being a Rotarian. So I share that with you.
Bill, there is a question about how do you get your business listed on Puget Sound Rotary Network. Could you respond to that?
So, Bill, if you go to the website, it says, here, you know what? I'll share the screen. How about that, if I can do that? Give me a second here, but you actually go to the website. I got to log on here. Give me a second. Welcome to the website, My Rotary. Nope, that's not it. Give me a second. But if you go to the top of the screen, it actually says, give me a second. Of course, you tell me something that I can't do at the top of my fingertips. Give me a second and I'll show you.
He's really good at this, guys.
Oh, I'm really good at it? Okay, here we go.
Good at it.
So let me go to this, go to here, you go to screen, share the screen. Give me unsecure square. Where am I? It's over here someplace because I just opened it up. Give me a second. There it is right there. Okay, this is the Puget Sound directory right here. And if you take a look up in here, there's a thing that says sign up. And as you can sign up, it gives you the instructions. And look at this, you're free. And from District 5030, you can sign up if you want to be in both District 5020 and 5030. You can sign up for free. If you take a look at the categories, you can quickly see the different businesses that are in here. So if I wanted to go on a legal standpoint right here, you can take a look at the different firms that are in here. And if I wanted to go ahead and talk to the Scarf right here, I can go to his website. I can visit his website. I get the information. It drills down, and there it is. And so you can do a search. I had a person just the other day that actually called me up and said, "A Rotarian, I'm looking for an accountant." I said, "Go to the website. You have 14 accountants that are in there that she can choose from." So she's interviewing them. So hope that helps out. It's okay if you want to take this offline. Excellent. Many thanks. Bill, did that? Bill, I'm going to unmute you, allow you to talk here. If you want to go ahead, unmute. Bill, did that? Let's see, he's still there. Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. And so we're excited about that. So what do you do, Bill?
A financial advisor with Edward Jones.
There we go. Yeah, there's a couple people there. So, it depends on your area. So thank you much, Bill. Are there any,
great.
Yep. Are there any other questions?
Bill, I think it might be useful for you to talk about the district conference. These folks may not have heard of it, and the way you're doing your district conference is very innovative for us.
Well, yeah, well, thank you. The district conference is for the first time. It's going to be in Seattle. It's down on the waterfront, the Bell Harbor Conference Center. This is where the cruise boats come in. It's a beautiful building. It's right next to Anthony's. It's a 2,000 car parking garage. It's already built. There's no construction. There's a breezeway. It's the first week of April. Because the cruise boats aren't there, so we get to use the whole facility. We are calling it Peace Through Action. Why? If you listen to what you just heard today, is that we'll never have peace if we don't have clean water. We'll never have peace if we can't help feed the hungry, educate those that are, that need to be taught. We'll never have peace if we can't eradicate some of the world's diseases and eradicate polio. And we do this as Rotarians. So it's Peace Through Action. It's a one-day conference on Saturday. So this will be known as the least expensive conference because you don't have to drive any place and you don't have to stay in any hotels. We'll be ramping up the publicity. We already have about 200 people that have signed up. So we're excited about it. We also have a Guinness Book of World Record of food packing on Saturday morning for an hour. We've already got the okay from Guinness Book that says, yes, we're going to try it all out. We have some sponsors. We're excited about it. We want to do 150,000 food packages for relief. And that's going to go right now. 2/3 goes overseas, 1/3 stays at home. 2/3 right now are they're in the Bahamas. And that's where the hurricane was. And so they're out. So that's where the food's going to right now. It'll be fun to go to. I look forward to seeing you. We got some great breakouts, and grab your club and go down there. I mean, like I said, you're not going to have too many opportunities that you can just go down there for one day and have a lot of fun. There is an event on Friday night. It's pretty much sold out. There's still some room, but it's a black tie pretty much event. It's for the Peace Awards because we're going to have a lot of awards we're dedicating for peace. And there's still some room available there in case you want to do the night too on Friday night. Look forward to seeing you.
You might think, goodness, Rotarians are talking about peace in the world. Well, let me tell you, there was a time when nobody but Rotary was talking about eliminating polio from the planet. So what we do makes a difference, and get on it now, learn more about it. The conference will be a great opportunity for you to find out more. So if we're done for the evening, I want to wish you from the new family you joined this year, the family of Rotary, a very happy holiday. And also to tell you that we all know, as we're finding out here in this session, that nothing gets done by yourself in Rotary. And I'm going to make like a movie credit and thank some folks, primarily our governor, but others as well,
Yeah.
who made this happen. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, and this will be, it has been recorded, and so we'll make sure that it be placed on YouTube. So with that being said, I wish everybody a happy holiday, safe, and be safe, and enjoy, and follow your passion. Follow your passion. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.